I'll stand here by Pink Princess, shall I?
We are here in Burlington at the First Congregational Church's Memorial Garden Cemetery, and today we are going to meet Nick Morse, who has been tending to the peonies here since the 1980s.
40 odd years, I guess. It was actually here that it started to get out of hand. I became a volunteer in the garden before I joined the church and before I worked here. I was the sexton for about 15 years, and that's when the peony madness started here. It just got started somehow and got out of hand. I guess maybe I'm sort of a Johnny Appleseed type. I mean, I have planted peonies at a lot of people's homes and various this and that. Festiva maxima. Many people would think of grandma's peony.
Should your title be volunteer? Are you volunteering?
Well, I prefer to think of myself as a victim. You have to say, well, okay, Nick, who started this anyway? Who planted all these stupid things all over the county? And, well, I like them. They're pretty, and some of them smell good. And, of course, lots of people walk by here every day. The neighborhood really appreciates having this garden. Here we have red charm. Only one bud per stem.
Like any
No, they're tough as nails. They're not fussy at all. They will appreciate a little bit, underline little, a little bit of fertilizer once a year. They live anywhere from 50 to 100 years. Here's one of my favorites, a very homely, old variety called Louis Van Hut. I'm 76. I was a cook for about 10 years when I was a young fella. Then I was a janitor for about 20 years. That's where I made my money, thank you very much. And then lastly, I was a nurse's aide and a driver out at Wake Robin. I like to say, I think by this time I would make anyone a very good wife, but no one has asked. This is a homely old pink. It's called Monsieur Jules Elie. It's one of the ones you can tell that doesn't have particularly strong stems, but it's doing the best it can.
Does it have his pantyhose on?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Every year I go to the thrift shop here at the church, and I go in and say in a rather loud voice, "I need pantyhose." The ladies all have it all ready for me. They know over the years, many years, that that I do need pantyhose.
They're for my peonies.
That's right, that's right. Well, you never know these days. Here's kind of an ugly peony. I forget what the name of that one is, but...
How could you say this is ugly?
Oh, easily. You have to be firm with plants and remind them that they can be replaced. Splendida, how do you like that? Not so splendid in my book. That could easily be replaced. For $25, you could get something really showy to put there. So if there's a flower that has a lot of buds, sometimes I'll take off the main bud so that the side buds will come along. So if you reduce the number of buds, you get larger flowers. Yeah, I don't know. I'll put my nippers away, shall I? I did plant the peonies and I do take care of them, but many other people do lots of other things. And quite a lot of hosta, another thing I'm not fond of. That's Japanese iris, spreads like the plague. Sometimes I call myself Lois McClure's gardener, because in the case of Hope Lodge and Respite House, and also the multi-generational center, all buildings that she contributed to, and then I come along a few years later and plant some peonies. Yep, that's a good one. I like peonies. I mean, what are you going to have here? Daylilies? Daylilies are actually the only garden plant that I know of that really don't mind being parked on. A lot of peonies were developed for the cut flower trade. They were extremely popular, much more popular than roses back in the early 20th century, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, especially in the funeral business. And so varieties were developed with strong scent being a primary factor. This is in some cases before the time of embalming, so a nice scent in the funeral home was a nice idea. If they were cut in bud, they didn't really care. It wasn't important that the plant have stiff stems. And so that's why there's a lot of peonies, older varieties in particular, that have beautiful flowers, but not strong enough stems to support themselves well. The Chinese say the fastest horses were required to fetch them. Shelburne Farms, the formal garden, they had, before I arrived, they had a lot of peonies there, but only about 4 varieties. So anyway, my idea there was to give them a little more variety. And of course, home, which is my poorest garden by far. A very nice planting of peonies that used to be beautiful, and they're dwindling because, as you can see, the trees have won. This is a tree. That doesn't belong there. Oh, look, here's a tree peony that's still in blooms. That's a very pretty flower. It has such weak stems that it hangs upside down on the plant. An Etaw hybrid. And there's one right there, and darn it, it's not quite in bloom. It's called a bomb or a double. Just about perfect. That'll be lovely tomorrow. That's a nice peony. That's called Miss America. Look, there's a little bug on there. Oh, by the way, whether or not you have ants on the peonies, it doesn't make a particle of difference. The bud excretes or exudes a sweet sap, and all kinds of critters get up there to enjoy the sap. Simply blow gently on the peony, shake it upside down a little, the ants will fall in. Paul A. Fay is a very distinctive color, beautiful flower, pretty good stems. It doesn't smell good at all. Oh, so you can't have everything.
Ah, nothing smells as sweet as a peony, and we will get stuck in Vermont View again real soon.
I know of a row down in Middlebury that's over 100 years old, and it still blooms nicely. They're kind of ugly pink peonies, but never mind, you know, they're doing the best they can. You like those? I'll dig it up and give it to you. I think we've done enough talking, don't you?